welcome to this episode of Spill the Petals. I am incredibly fortunate to have one of our premier students, I would say, here in a class today. First class that he's taken with us, but we're talking to John Grayson Henderson from Bloomin Hills Florist in Tillatoba, Mississippi. Welcome, John.
Thank you. So glad to be here with you.
We connected via texting and talking back and forth together electronically, and you were actually referred, I believe, by Patty Wallander.
That's right.
About taking classes, and reached out to us about the class that he's here joining with Sandy Schreck today, or this entire week, looking at elements and principles of design. And found it very interesting when we looked at some of the posts that you had done. You have completed all of the classes online, had all the certificates, had presented a couple of photos of designs that you had created and all your certificates. And that's kind of where it started. We're like, wait a minute, where are those certificates from? So how did you get interested in the floral industry, being that you're a young man? I will leave that up to you, whether you share your age or not. But I think it's incredible because we're looking at the next generation of florists.
Right. Well, thank you. Well, to answer your question, I've always been interested in colors and patterns and textures and art. From when I was little, I took art classes. And then as far as the creativity part, I've played music my whole life. And so I've played the piano and I'm professionally trained in the violin. And if people know anything about the violin, it's a very demanding instrument, both physically, mentally, emotionally, all the above. And so you have to be kind of creative to be able to play that. And so that really led into the flowers. And then my dad had a health issue, which caused us to have to reposition things and financially to be able to make it. And so we decided to kind of have a farm in our small town. Tillatoba is not very big, but we have a lot of medium-sized towns, close to us. And so we decided, it's a need for green plants and house plants. And so it started there. And then we decided to start growing some cut flowers, and we were selling them to actual other florists. And then people started asking us to make bouquets. And so we started doing that. And then I really got interested in the flowers. And I said, you know what? I think this is really neat. So I told my mother, I said, let's start a flower shop. And of course, she looked at me like I was crazy. It was like, that's probably not going to work where we are. But the Lord has truly blessed us. He has, because our business has grown, and it's grown to a point where we've doing weddings and special events. And so I decided, obviously, I wanted to take some classes, to be able to do that. And so I was able to connect with Miss Patty, and she couldn't speak highly enough about, Floriology. And I started doing research myself, and I started seeing your skills and everyone else's skills. And I knew that I wanted to come here and learn from all the knowledge that y'all have. So that's a true blessing for that. And then my ultimate goal is to hopefully be able to reach certification, because there's no one in our area with that. And I think that's a need. So
anyway. That is incredible to hear. And I'm so happy, especially coming from a young person coming in the industry, because we find that people aren't looking at it as a viable option, but you kind of are seeing it from a different side. Right. Would you encourage other young people to get involved in the floral industry?
Absolutely. Not only for the fun of being able to work with the product, but also it requires discipline in your life. It requires you to have structure, to be able to do things. You have to be able to multitask. It helps you with be quick, fast thinking, and it's just the floral industry. It's not just the flowers. You have to be able to have the business, and you have to be able to talk with people. So communicating, it helps in so many areas of your life. And so I would definitely recommend that. I would. So,
and I'm very impressed with you as a musician, a a florist. You also, from what I understand, teach Bible classes with puppets.
That's right. Yes.
Was that something that you just came up with on your own?
Well, that's another story.
I bet, John, there's a lot of stories where you're concerned.
Yes, there are. It actually started from when I attended a music camp, and the pastor was a ventriloquist, and I just love the ventriloquism art, and so I decided to obviously bring that back to our area and was able to share that with kids. So I enjoy that. So.
Well, obviously, in Tillatoba, you find lots of opportunity to find new things to do.
Absolutely.
And that's great to hear that you put your mind at work when there's not something else going on in the area around you. Looking at the floral industry and the opportunities that you see, what do you feel like are your biggest challenges for moving forward in your growth, or your floral journey is what we like to call it?
That's a very good question. In our area, obviously, like I said, in Tillatoba, when we joined BloomNet, they did a research in our area, and in Tillatoba we have 75 registered residents, so that tells you the size. But we have, like I said, several other towns around us that we service, and that are 20, 30,000 people, so it's medium. But as far as the growth in our area. First of all, getting our name out, which is something that just takes time. But that is something that we're steadily working toward that. But one thing and challenging in our area is, as we were working on sympathy pieces at the standing sprays this afternoon, one of the instructors made a joke and said, "I saw on your Facebook page you can't make a medallion spray. It's got to be something different." And so in our area, that people want the very traditional look. They don't like the updated styles and all that kind of stuff. And so you can only do a certain amount of that. You have to be able to do both, And so in our area, I would love to see that grow. And so in our area, there's no one else that does these unique things. And so I've been able to start bringing some of those elements in, and it's starting to be very well received. So that's something I would definitely like to see grow as far as events and different things, just people being able to open their eyes to all the other things. So.
Well, I mean, it's very true that you can't grow until you know.
Absolutely.
You have to know how to get beyond a certain point, and then you have to know how to train your consumer, the customers that you're working with, that there are other options that are out there.
Absolutely.
So I applaud you for looking past where you are and where you want to be, because that's the way to get to that point. Is setting that path. For other opportunities, I know you said that you're looking to be certified CFD and hopefully on to AIFD. And I hope you're pulling a lot of those other young people with you. In that process, have you kind of set in your mind, I would like to achieve this by a certain time?
Well, I guess kind of go into my age. Unfortunately, in our area, I don't share that. The reason why is because people, if you lead with that, or they know that, automatically they assume, well, he doesn't know what he's doing, or because there's not a lot of the younger generation, and so they think, well, they just stick a few flowers in and call it good. But to answer your question, I'll actually be 18 in 2 months. And so my goal was to be able to start flower classes before that. And I was hoping to be able to, reach complete AIFD certification within my 18th year of life, I guess you could say, before I turn 19. So hopefully I'll be back and forth to Florida a good bit this year, working on CFD courses, and then hopefully be able to go and test, in Chicago for AIFD. So,
well, it's really important to set a goal and then work that pathway or your journey on how to get to that goal. We're all here to help you achieve that, and just happy to see a young person that wants to be in the industry. Young, old, we're looking at total opposites here. I could be your grandfather. So I'm very proud to see you here and to see what you've just accomplished in the last few days of some professional training. So I can imagine where you can go over the next coming months or years. When we look at what you want to do as far as a shop owner, I'm assuming that you want to continue to grow and take that other places. You said you want to get into the wedding industry a little bit more. little bit heavier. Do you think you'll stay in the Tillatoba area?
Well, that's been the most popular question this week. So I have, I guess, a rehearsed answer for that. Obviously, there's a need for the kind of florals that we offer in our area. And so we're not ever going to say, okay, well, we grew our business and then close the doors, because that's just not good business. So to answer your question, our Bloomin' Hills will always be in Tillatoba. We have considered maybe branching into other areas in the future, but my goal is, my mother and father kind of handled the everyday in the shop. And so my goal is once I'm able to reach certification, is I would love to be able to freelance and to be able to travel, and because I love to travel, so being able to travel and work at the same time
Sure.
would be nice. So ultimately, have kind of a home base of Tillatoba, and then being able to work out of that and know I have somewhere to come back to. So.
And that was one of the things that Sandy and I were talking about on the last podcast, that freelancing, even when you're a shop owner or you are centrally located in one general area, gives you those opportunities to do things that you might not necessarily be able to do where you live.
Absolutely.
And to bring that information back so you continue to grow.
Absolutely.
I can't thank you enough for taking time to sit down with me a few minutes after a long day in class. I'm sure you're tired and ready to get back to the hotel with everyone else. But we appreciate you taking the time to be with us.
Absolutely.
Remember that we try to always keep you up to date with what's going on in the industry, with tech, with design, with business, and with our next generation. So thank you so much, John, for any last words that you'd like to share with the viewers or listeners.
One thing for any young people out there that are considering to do it or considering this path, is just don't give up. There's going to be difficult paths, but a difficult path ends up leading you to a beautiful place. So I just always say don't give up, and believe in yourself, and you can do it.
And there's those of us out here that are more than willing to help you and want to see you succeed. So thank you again for joining us, and remember, to all those that are listening, there's no use crying over spilled petals. We'll see you again next time.